Raven fans, Oriole fans, thank you very much for joining us this week on the Ravori Sports Podcast. Moving the chair here in a better light. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content. NFL pregame draft starts on April 24th. So before and after the draft, we're going to go over all of our social media content. We're going to chop it up before, see what the Ravens do before and after. RavoriSports.company.site. Definitely check it out for your Ravens and Orioles merchandise on our website. We're definitely going to have a good time on the website and to buy merchandise on there. Genesis Notary Services in Winchester, Virginia area. So if you do live in the Shenandoah Valley, check that out. Let's not keep you waiting. We got one of the OGs here in the Baltimore. I've been watching you for a while, man. I've been telling you, one of the OGs in the Baltimore, Washington media space. So his channel is a lot of good sports content. So check it out. Nathan Snell from Big Nate Sports Talk here with us. And we're going to talk a little Maryland basketball here at the start. How you doing, Nate? Nice to
good. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I've been watching your channel here for the last couple of years here. So thank you very much for all your contributions in the media space.
I'm trying. Try to take it one video at a time. So I appreciate it. It's appreciated.
And we'll get to that later, man. But you crank out a lot of videos.
I try.
I try. Right. So let's get to it this week. I wanted to speak with somebody here, have the audience here, somebody who's on the ground at the University of Maryland. Quite a week, wasn't it? Never seen anything like this. I did watch a video, kind of break it down. I broke it down the channel. Walk me through kind of what's going on in College Park, right? What's your take on it? I mean, is from it seems like that's almost an unfair question. Start with Kevin Willard. What exactly happened?
Well, I think a lot of it started is when he first took the job. There really wasn't. I understand Mark Turgeon was not fired, but he resigned, stepped down as the coach, and Danny Manning had took over. So Kevin Willard, coming from the Big East, accepted the job. So remember, Damon Evans as well, still new as well, because Kevin Willard and Mike Loxley were Damon Evans hires prior to the previous regime with Mr. Anderson. So long story short, Maryland is not in terms of NIL revenue sharing, is not up there with most schools. And the Big Ten arguably is more of a football conference versus a basketball conference. So Maryland, from a football perspective, has gotten more in revenue sharing than basketball. Now that's supposed to change.
Why do you think that is? Maryland is, I'm a little maybe older than you, I think. I always view it as the basketball school, right? I know, like, you've had some good football teams and you're in the Big Ten, but, Len Bias, you've been basketball school. Why is it, are they trying to become more of a football school?
In my opinion, I think that's what it is. I mean, I remember I was being in the ACC, me growing up. So I think for me, I feel like you can always thrive in two sports. It's, you pick your poison. But I mean, even when we were in the ACC, I mean, we as a football team struggled. So we've kind of had our ups and downs with it. But even with that, so when Mark first got here his first year, we got to the Sweet 16, and then last season we didn't make the postseason. I actually remember correctly, he actually declined the NITs. So coming into this year, he rebuilt the team, and same thing. Okay, cool. Then the rumors started swirling after the Big Ten tournament of Villanova. Okay. You just, typical coaching rumors that he's going to take the job. So we're getting into the NCAA tournament prior to playing Colorado. And then all hell breaks loose.
The games are still going on, right? Yes. I mean, they're having a good season. They're having the best season in years. They are, you had a second in the Big Ten. You did well in the tournament. You got semifinals in the tournament. All this stuff is going on while this is happening. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, it really started with Jeff Ehrman from 27 Sports. He started reporting on it. And as he was reporting on it, then that's when it started coming out more, because it was during the pre-media availability prior to us playing Colorado State. He put Damon Evans, now former athletic director, that he was going to take the job at SMU, and we didn't even know about that. And then that's when he brought out that he couldn't say the extra in New York and all those other things. And then, we didn't hear that the last 2 years. So you were like trying to understand where that was coming from. And, but we knew some of the things were kind of rumblings. There was an issue where Kevin had talked about at some point with the season where they were struggling in terms of trying to, I forgot where there was a struggle in the period of the season. And Kevin had talked about the schedule, and a fan had mentioned the schedule's not an excuse. You need to figure it out. And then Damon went on, I think it was 105.7 The Fan, and actually called him out and told about, you need to figure it out. I agree with the fan along those lines. So and then as fast forward after that media press conference, then, the hole gets bigger. The Pandora's box, is now becoming more open. And then Mike Locksley is, now has to respond to those comments. And then Mike's comments were, I will say, let's just say he didn't like it.
Locksley, I did understand why he said what he said. We could argue if it's inappropriate, but right now, like, you're just sipping that drink. What if I took that drink right out of your hand and said it's for me? That's essentially what you're telling Mike Locksley, right? Yep. Like, you want to throw more, what's going on here? So you want to throw more support. This guy might be leaving or is threatening to leave. I'm here doing what you asked me to do, and you're going to give resources to him. So I understand his point of view.
Yep.
Right or wrong, the way he went about it, we could debate that one, but I think I understand why. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then when I can't remember who it was, it might have been Sam June. Shout out to Sam June, who works for 27 Sports. I could be wrong. Who asked the question to Kevin prior to them playing Florida in response to asking Kevin about what Coach Locksley had said, and Kevin essentially deflected. And long story short, and the contract, and then the rumors started circling. Other reporters started confirming that he did take the job, but he said, I don't know, blah, 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 blah. Then there was a report that, Derek Queen had said something to me.
Do you believe that?
No, I don't.
I know what he said, but do you think that this was in his mind, the way this was going to go the whole time?
No, I think he was going to take the job. I wish he would have went about it a different way. If he'd just went behind closed doors, because the thing was, he just wanted reassurance that he had the resources what he need to be successful, because Maryland is actually going to they will, by the fall, if it's 27 or 28, there's a performance center next to where they play, next to Xfinity Arena. So, because not too many schools have that. So that's one thing I think that's impressive to have, a performance center. I mean, for any cost to have that, that's top tier. but he wanted basically more resources, and they gave him that, and you still said no. And I find it weird that even through all of that, I still think it was a distraction. Because you could tell it was a distraction. I think the team didn't try to let it distract them, but you could tell it bothered them, because it was reported that Derek Queen had said something to him in the locker room. I don't know.
Derek Queen's been killing him on Twitter. Derek Queen, I don't know him personally, but he's been killing him on Twitter. I know Derek Queen wasn't happy about the way it went down. I
don't blame him. I think that this is. I understand it's a business. I'm all for coaches getting their money. I think the coach from UMBC, I think he's now like his fourth coaching job. I remember correctly. I think, I'm all for you getting your opportunities, but it's a way you go about things professionally. And Kevin didn't really handle it personally. I mean, look at Scott Van Pelt. Literally, yes, who's a booster from Maryland.
That's his money. I'm glad you said it, like in your video, like Scott Van Pelt's a booster. That's his money he's spending.
Yeah. So it's like, you kind of had this program going in a direction, in a forward direction, and we haven't seen this in quite some time. And we kind of like, wow, you taking it a step back, and it's also, it's bad when you've got legends like Lynn Elmore writing an open letter, basically, wanting some accountability. That's bad, in my opinion.
I kind of think he was always taking the Villanova job. I think you mentioned, and I read the reports about the resources, and they met with Van Pelt and other boosters and all that other stuff. But I really think that's never what it was. I think the only hedging was the fact that he might not get the job in Villanova.
Mm-hmm.
They were interviewing Pitino, right?
Yep.
Pitino took the job at Xavier.
Yep.
And so once that happened, then pretty much he was the number one guy. And then here the rumors come out again. I think that's pretty much the way it went. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, but also too, you guys all understand the Big East has more resources, and the Big East is a basketball conference. So even though Maryland still gave him basically what he wanted, I'm pretty sure he still went like, yeah, I'm gonna take it, because he did the same thing to Seton Hall. A lot of people forget that.
So, verbatim, what he said is almost verbatim what he said when he left Seton Hall. So that was wild.
Yep. So
Damon Evans part of it, I'm a little. Can you tell us anything about Damon Evans part? The only thing I can really kind of figure is they didn't get along. Is that true?
I will say I think there was disagreements on how the revenue sharing should have been. Again, in terms of results wise, they really weren't producing the way I think there was an expectation. Because now Damon's now at Southern Methodist. So because when Damon came in, he took over the Anderson regime, and that was kind of a disaster to an extent. There's some things Damon did do, but I wouldn't say they didn't get along. I just think it was just disagreements on how NIL revenue sharing should have been.
But why'd he leave?
Same thing, better opportunity, money.
I thought that was kind of strange. I guess. I don't.
But I think also too the same thing. I do also too think there is also something with the administration at College Park. But I think it's also too Damon. I think Damon kind of wants more control, and I don't think the school is willing to give that to him. So I could be wrong. So, but I wish him all the best at SMU. So he's already made his some moves there already. So.
We're going to move to Buzz Williams in a second here, but I was following Steve Blake on Twitter. He publicly asked for the job. Dwayne Simpkins, a coach at American, asked for the job. Tony Skinn, I think George Mason. There's a lot of that. I know why they didn't do it. I think because you don't have time for that, right? Buzz Williams, you could pretty much plug and play and bring him right in, and you got players pretty much at the same level, pretty much like guys he's going to bring over from NIL, etc. If you wait a couple weeks to wait on Blake and all that other stuff, you're going to lose a lot more players.
Right.
Is that the move though, long term? I don't
Buzz
know.
Williams.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of at least examining those other names.
Well, I mean, Buzz Williams got a 6-year deal, so I mean, we gave him some money. I mean, honestly, truthfully, you had to hire somebody because number one, we're already in the transfer portal season, so you had to hire somebody now, and we don't have an AD. My understanding is also too we're supposed to get a general manager. I don't know if if that is true or not, but I know they're supposed to hire one. Because you start seeing more most schools. Look at he used to break news for the NFL. He became a GM for a school.
Woj is GM at St. Bonaventure. I know Steph Curry took the GM job at Davidson.
Yes.
He might as well because it's his money too.
Exactly. So yeah, I know Maryland's supposed to hire one, but. No, I mean, was Steve Blake or Juan Dixon or even Simpson would have been good? I don't know. But the reality is Kevin Willard did put Maryland in a pickle because you kind of pulled a Benedict Arnold in the midnight hour. Or I should say like the Baltimore Colts, you left in the middle of the cold winter night and you just said, I'm out. So now you have to find somebody to now, okay, because Maryland had a decommit, and already have had now 8 transfers in the portal.
Gillespie's already gone.
Yes,
Gillespie's already signed with Tennessee. Yeah.
So, you kind of now, you have to find somebody now. And also, too, Steve Blake, Juan Dixon, sure, they have coaching experience, but also too, like realistically, like the leash is going to be shorter than because I most people will want somebody that's more experienced. So Buzz made the most sense.
I'm going to agree, I think, but the reason why the Terp fans are freaking out is because we're not used to this, right? This is normal stuff in college basketball. I agree. But they had Gary Williams for 1,000 years. They ran out Mark Turgeon. This revolving door is unusual in College Park. So why not Brenda Freese for the job?
Brenda Freese is happy with what she's doing. I mean, if anything, she's actually the standard, in my opinion. She's going to be in the Hall of Fame to me as one of the best coaches in the game. I think also too on the men's side, I think we're holding on to the legacy of Gary Williams so much. We are refusing to let it go. Like we're looking for the next Gary Williams, and it's not out there. Like I think sometimes I feel like Maryland fans are still stuck in 2002, and the reality is that's not the case. Like we haven't been to an Elite Eight since 2002, and we haven't been in the Sweet 16 up until this past week recently. So I think that like Buzz made it clear, like he wasn't worried about the resources. He knew he's going to build a culture. He's definitely was going to bring a lot of things. I mean, he's putting the team first. Because if you think about it, because even when Mark Turgeon got hired, it was something along the lines of style of play, like is winning. When Kevin got hired, bringing swag back to Maryland basketball, and then Buzz's media availability was just said team. he said at least about 10 or more times in that media availability.
He's hard not to like. Buzz Williams. He's a hard guy. I was very impressed with him during the tournament. He's openly praying with his players on the court, reading scripture, everything like that. He's very close with his guys.
Yep.
I think I got no problem with him as a hire. I think like that. I got no problem with that. I just don't know how long he's going to stick around. And then
I think he'll be here for the long run. And if there's a better opportunity out there for him, let's say like in 4 or 5 years, I'm all for it. My only thing is if handling it the right way, don't pull a Kevin Willard. That's all I'm saying. You know, again, like a regular, a 9 to 5. Okay. If you are interviewing for administrative level 3, okay, and it's paying $30 more, okay, with better benefits, and you take that job, what do? You give your 2 weeks gracefully and you move on. You don't just go out and say, I got the job, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like Kevin, in a way, just kind of made it clear, like, well, I'm not getting what I want. Well, okay, we're going to give you what you want. And then we gave it to you and you still didn't like it. So I'm hoping Buzz doesn't do that, which he doesn't come across as that type of person. But, you know.
He doesn't. You're right. But look at his history, right? 4 or 5 years and out. Like, went to Virginia Tech, few years out. Texas A&M, few years. Now he's leaving. So his history is, and a lot of these coaches are going to see more volatility because of the portal. They got to rebuild every year. So if they're not getting what they want, they're gonna start moving.
But also, too, the transfer portal plays a role in that because in NIL, because we really need to have some reform. I could have a whole conversation about that, but where the NIL and the transfer portal is as of today, it is really, really getting out of hand because absolutely not. Like when you mentioned players are asking for like $2-3 million. No.
Why no?
Because if a player, it's one thing if you're a starter, okay, if you're an All-American and you're transferring, that's one thing. Okay, but like he should have been more clear of who's asking for $2 million. Okay, well, if you're someone that's averaging 0.5 points off the bench, you must have fallen and bumped your head. Because why am I giving you $2 million and you averaging half a point a game? No.
I think every player on the team is getting 100,000.
I mean,
I would think. I mean, D1 players. I mean, if you ain't got 100,000, you could probably get that anywhere you go. And so multiply that by 12. Certain guys getting 12 or 500,000. I think the coaches have kind of made their own bet. Steve Alford kind of said kind of what you said. Tom Izzo kind of said what you said. Tom Izzo just signed an extension for $5 million. Miss me with the fact that these guys shouldn't get paid. I agree now there should be contracts, rules, etc. But they kind of make their own bet as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, because especially like your freshman year, like you shouldn't transfer after your freshman year. I think that is insane, especially if you committed to that school. If you redshirted, that's fine. Well, I feel like if you've redshirted your freshman year, you are ineligible to play that year. You have to make that year up another year or so, and you can't, or you still can't transfer something. Because to me, like if you committed to that school, like for example, there was I think she was a 5-star. Recently, she just had a whole thing on ESPN, and she said the city
That's what my daughter calls it, Espin.
And she said the city, not the state. She's going to Oklahoma. Aaliyah Chavez. And she said, I'm going Norman. And everyone, she's like, they're not clapping. Like, what the hell is Norman? Just say you should say Oklahoma. Like, if she just decided, yeah, I'm just going to transfer. Well, hell, you put on this whole big thing. You got cameras in front of you after 1 year just transfer. I feel like that was just a waste. That's just me.
It's the wild, wild west, Nate. I mean, that's just how it is, as far as that goes.
That's true.
Give you a few minutes here, women's ball. You don't see the same thing. How much are the women participating in NIL, if at all?
Oh, it's there, but the thing is, in terms of college or
in terms of college basketball.
Well, in terms of college, like recently, Olivia Miles just transferred from Notre Dame, and I think the conversation, like example on First Take, where I really had legit got a migraine because it went from why she transferred to it was about money. And sometimes it's not about the money. Like when players transfer, you have to look at it from a couple perspectives. Your school may not have the major for a master's program or a doctorate program. But also to Olivia, that prior to this season, was hurt. She was out for the year. And she played next to a positional player in Hannah Hidalgo, who's a pass first guard. So why not can Olivia develop her skills as a pass first guard? There's no shame in that. Because also too, Notre Dame, that's a pretty damn good school. So she was getting some money in an NIL. But then also too, I think people forget, like when you go into the pros, most of those deals go with them and they become endorsements, sponsorships. So I think people just
WNBA players more than NBA players need that money. But like Angel Reese already talked about it. Like she can't even afford her apartment with all this extra stuff.
That's BS. That's not true.
Why is that not true?
Because Reese's, Reebok, all those endorsements she's got. Come on now, she's got money.
No, but what I'm saying is she's not getting it in player salary.
But you're also taking into consideration her incentives. She made an all-star team, an all-rookie team. You're getting more than just your base salary.
What do WNBA players make? Angel Reese is like early draft pick. What would you say the tonnage is for a WNBA player, a starting player? Starting player or style of rotation player, not necessarily a Caitlin or etc.
Well, I know Jackie Young. She's technically, I think, was the highest paid player, is like 250 something. So, but that's going to change because of the next CBA that they're currently negotiating. So the money's going to change. But I think people sometimes forget, like, there's also incentives in their contract where they're going to see more money. And that's not including also endorsements. So like when she said the my salary doesn't cover my apartment, I'm like, wait, McDonald's, Reese's, Reebok, other stuff, like you got money.
Well, she's not. That $250,000 isn't even what Bronny James is getting in terms of salary.
True.
That's my point. There's a big I mean you're talking about the endorsements and all that. She's famous and she's good looking and all of that stuff. So like she's probably getting more than like that. But I'm talking about on court earnings.
Right.
It's big. It's a big.
But also too, people also have to understand the way the salary structure is currently is based off the 2020 CBA, because prior to it, this is what was agreed upon. So they opted out of the 2020 CBA. So you're going to see some changes for sure. So the money, a lot of things are going to change. So it's going to be a big difference. So, but especially with NIL and all those different things, It's definitely there. It's just like Olivia's more than likely she's transferred because again, it's not just about the NIL. She missed a year because of injury, and let her develop her craft, continue to develop her game. The same with Flage. Flage to me is not ready for the WNBA, especially going against bigger guards. Like she would literally be barbecue chicken against some of the bigger guards. And that's no shade. I mean, she needs to continue to work on her jump shot and also her on ball defense. Those are her two biggest areas of weakness she needs to continue to work on, in my opinion.
I'm gonna ask you a WNBA question. I did want to ask you this one here. Juju Watkins with the injury, can she come back and be what I thought the number one pick in the WNBA drafts when she actually gets healthy? She's not even eligible, I don't think, next year. Is that still in the cards for her? Because she was tremendous this year.
If my understanding, more than likely she's going to have red shirt next year, so she would have another year. She should get back to her form. She should get back to her form because Paige more than likely, because Paige is going to be the number one overall pick in a couple weeks, so Juju will be fine. So I mean, the one thing, especially when she gets back on the court, you gotta also think there is like regular shape and there's basketball shape. Like example, Bree McDaniel for University of Maryland, she tore her ACL. There's regular shape and there's basketball shape. You got to give a person time to get back into the things of, especially getting back on the court. I think sometimes people just think, oh, like it's easy just to pick it up where you left off. It's not easy. Like Ayoka Lee just recently just said she's not going to forego the WNBA. She's going to retire at 24, after 7 years at K-State because of injuries. I mean, God bless her. It just, I would never think, somebody of her size and what she's done, just decides to just say, yeah, I'm not going to go for it. I've done all I could. So it's, injuries are, people underestimate how severe the injuries are. And then someone like with Juju, that was a serious injury. And again, injuries happen. When it happened, I don't think it was not a dirty play. It just happens. So, but more likely she will redshirt next year, and more likely play because she has to be 22 or she has to be in her junior year of college to be eligible for the WNBA draft. That's how it works.
So that's going to transition to me into asking about you and your channel. How long? Because you talk about this type of stuff all the time. You're like, I have my friend. I don't know if you know my friend Keith Henry, who was on the beat at Coppin State for so many years. He's always been this big women's basketball, women's coach, women's volleyball. How long have you been doing sports talk in media?
So I started all this really honestly, truthfully. My YouTube channel, I started it during the pandemic. So to be really honestly, 5 years ago. I'm really amazed of where it's gone. Initially, when I started one of those channels, like one of those channels where you see a topic and you just talk about it like a gossip YouTube channel. And then I was like, I don't like where that was going. So one day, a couple of buddies were like, why don't you talk sports? Because my major when I started at a community college was actually communication studies, radio and television. I did an internship at a radio station. And that I was doing some stuff writing wise. And I was like, okay, like I can see where this is going. So within the time period, I've got to interview several players. I've got to interview professional WNBA ball players, college players. I had to interview Brenda Freeze. That was fun. Got to do my first in-person NCAA tournament this past for the women's side. So it's been fun. It's just, I will say the downside to everything, it can be a bit, it can be at times consuming, but also to be a bit stressful because sometimes people can be very critical of what you're talking about. So, for example, there's one video I have up on my channel. It's actually, ironically, it still gets some traction. It's actually about a YouTuber who actually still posts. It has nothing to do with sports. It's more about self-esteem, and I don't really pay attention to the person, and I still get comments of people who actually watched that video. I actually made that.
I remember you were going back and forth. I don't know the guy, but you were going back and forth with somebody for a while there. It was years ago. You were.
It may have been that video.
I can't remember his name, but you were like, yeah, you were really getting on. The whole video was about you and this other person there that didn't like your video or something.
I think it might be the one I'm talking about, with the self-esteem one. Might have been. Yeah, that it still to this day gets traction. So I'm surprised. Yeah, so no, but I mean, from where it was 5 years ago till now, I'm really, really proud of it. So but I mean, I've gotten people on there like Brendan Potts, who works with World Exposure Report. I try to get other people on there. Sean Spencer from Let's Talk Football. He's doing his at the Watch Football Weekly. So my thing is just, I just hopefully it turns into something big. But
if you could do one sport, I always want to ask you this question: what would it be? What would you be doing? If YouTube tells us, and I don't do one sport either, but if YouTube tells you, okay, you can only do one sport, which is the one that what your channel turns into what? It's hard.
One
you gotta
sport.
Yeah.
I got it. I have to stick with on the women's side. I have to do the WNBA. Because I feel like everyone can talk about the NFL. Everyone can talk about the NBA. Everybody can talk about Major League Baseball, hockey. But like, there's not a lot of people, especially like black men. Like I remember I spoke with after Maryland beat Alabama, Candace Buckner for the Washington Post. She was like, there's not a lot of black men that actually are in this space for women's basketball. She's like, it's nice to see that. And I was like, wow, and it didn't dawn on me until I looked around and she was like, yeah, damn, she is right. So
I hear that a lot of time for baseball. I heard that a lot of time. I heard that one a lot of time for baseball. Sometimes I had a lot of people are actually surprised how much I like baseball. Because I grew up in Baltimore. When I was growing up, we didn't have a football team. So all you did, if you're a sports fan, you just waited till opening day, right? And then that was it. So that's all we had until we got the Ravens in 97. 96. What's next for you without you revealing any top secret stuff you got going? What would you say? What would you say the next thing that you want to do that maybe you haven't done yet?
Well, I would like to interview an NFL player. I would actually like to interview a Raven, a former Raven, if I could. I actually did attempt to reach out to one recently, and I didn't hear anything back. So if I get on that side of the NFL, that'd be something. I've definitely been trying to interview former players, even current players. But I will say it actually has been interesting because some players, especially their agents or representation, will go, they've declined your request. And it's like, okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I get it all the time. But it's not just athletes. Athletes, you can kind of understand them declining requests because the view of them is a little different. Also, but I get like content creators like all the time say no or they can't do it. In some cases, in traditional media, I know some things they can't legally do or it's frowned upon them doing things. So I try to let that stuff roll off my back. But sometimes people just don't like it. or they just say you're not big enough show or whatever it is. So that happens.
I mean, I think sometimes, especially when you're trying to, and when I first started, especially on the women's side, like trying to network, I will say at times it was like in the beginning it was like really, really like, oh my gosh, like damn. But like as I've gotten like more into it, like you get to like really meet some genuine people. Like, because there really are some people who are like, honestly, truthfully, like some people who are really stubborn, and there's some ignorant people out there that I just generally do not want to network with you, because they kind of feel like you're, oh no, you're in my territory. Like, no, thank you. And I get it, but if I'm just asking for advice, I'm just asking for advice. I'm not, coming to take your job or your spotlight. If I'm just trying to just understand what can I do to break into this field. Like I spoke to Xavier Weary from WMAR, who does sports. Met him at the NCAA tournament. This for Maryland. Great guy.
I know.
So I'm like, he gave me some really great knowledge. He even mentioned like I should consider doing high school sports. Telling those stories, and I was like, I didn't think about that. I'm kind of contemplating that. So,
still want to be in traditional media, or is the social media lane or the other lane? I've asked some content creators this question. So if you had a chance to be the play-by-play person for the Mystics on Monumental, or you could have 400,000 subscribers on the Big Nate Sports Talk, which would you rather have? Don't say it. I don't want to disqualify people from hiring you or anything.
Oh, no.
I don't want to. If you don't want to, yeah.
I mean, honestly, like I will say with traditional media, I think we kind of have to define what that is, because I think media today is not what media should be. Because especially if you look on TV, I think it's there's no in the middle. You got to pick a side, and I think that's where the problem, especially with sports, there's no disagreeing. Example, right? Like we all know what the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, let's just be honest, should have won MVP, because we look at stats and stuff, right? But we had two people. One was a former quarterback, and the other one who was
Olowski. I'm gonna call his name. You didn't, but I'm going to. You didn't say it. I'm saying it.
And another one who at one point did work for ESPN, but works on another network, literally manipulated what the definition of MVP is by telling people what offensive player of the year is. Okay, and saying, well, Josh Allen had something to do with less, right? So my point is like Lamar Jackson, the criticism Lamar Jackson gets, other quarterbacks don't warrant that type of criticism, right? Like how many quarterbacks have you seen on TV get a question, are the Baltimore Ravens getting their money's worth? Like has Justin Herbert got that type of question? Like did Pittsburgh get that type of question with Russell Wilson?
You had people still saying Lamar couldn't pass 2 years ago.
Yes.
Crazy. Like that makes no sense at all. Go ahead.
Or the New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers. So and then also too, like I feel like there are people, even with social media, I think social media is a farce. I think social media, especially depending on the platform, I think can be a bit extreme, because it's just, at the end of the day, it's an opinion. And I think, stan accounts, I think have really, really kind of made social media really, really no man's land, especially, for example, with the NFL, the WNBA, college basketball, and also to the parasocial relationships. So I think we got to understand that there's a double-edged sword with those things, because there's no really such thing as there are genuine journalists, but everybody now wants to be an analyst on TV, or they all want to have want to have their face. They want to have their opinion heard, and sometimes their opinion can be a bit distasteful.
Who is your favorite media personality, without saying yourself? Because you were pretty hard on them just there. I'm gonna give you a chance here to say something pretty good here.
Favorite.
I'm thinking it's Stephen A. But I'm just looking at your channel, like you
no,
like he's on there all the time with your edits.
No, Stephen A. A while ago went down. It's actually Ernie Johnson. Because I mean, you never see Ernie Johnson. Ernie keeps it real. He keeps the flow of the Inside the NBA. He keeps the flow of the show going. But like, I think he's an example of someone who takes their job seriously and knows their craft. Like, I play the Stephen A. clips just for fun and just for just to have the kind of just throw in a hee moment. But at one point, like there's some things where I agree with Stephen A. But to an extent, there's some things I disagree with Stephen A. Like I don't say I hate the dude. Like some people, where they say some personal attacks, but there's things I disagree with him about. I disagree why he's very critical of the selective outrage on quarterbacks. It's not consistent, if that makes sense. This recent thing with LeBron, like let it go. Like at this point.
Well, here's my thing with Stephen A. I don't always like what he says and all that, but I do respect the business, if that makes any sense. Because I know how hard it was to do what he's doing. I heard somebody say that about Jess Hilarious the other day. Like I'm not a fan, but I respect how she got where she got, because it wasn't easy. And Michael Wilbon came out just the other day and really wrecked Stephen A. In his own Wilbon way and things like that. Is there still a place for journalism in 2025?
There's a place for it. I just think I think also where society is. Society is changing every day. Society, I in my opinion, also too, I call it the microwave society, where we want things like this, like instant. Like, you put a Celeste pizza in the microwave or a Hot Pocket, it's just instant, like there's, facts, well, for example, TMZ, everybody's a TMZ, you pull your phone out, all those things. So, I mean, journalism is still there. Like I said, there's still quality journalists out there. It's how you report it. It's how you conduct your news facts, but also too, it's like, it's what you do with it, because, sometimes also too, it's also the networks you work for. I get it. Some people have admitted, I just say things just to get people to just watch the channel. That's fine. But, at the end of the day, I've learned it through the classes I've taken. It's all about ethics. And I think sometimes there's the ethics in journalism, especially what I've seen like on TV, especially on the sports side, like get really lost in the sauce. Because it's like, yeah, it makes no sense.
Now you didn't say it again, but I'm going to say it. I can tell you're a man of faith. That's that. I can tell you didn't go there, but this is my channel, so I get to go there, I guess. But ethics in journalism is a tough thing sometimes, because you report on people that you like, or you study, or you look at it. Do you think that what do you think is going to happen to Masson in particular?
Well, with Masson, I think from my understanding, like it was really supposed to be for us, the Orioles. And then obviously we all know when the Expos left Montreal to come here, like Peter Angelos, may he rest in peace. He wasn't really was not willing to put the Nationals on TV. If he just said, okay, you know what, I'll put them on TV here, and the Orioles are going to be on TV there. If he kept it balanced where the Orioles and Nationals were on TV, he still would have had money in his pocket. Now, are the Orioles going to be hurt by losing some money? Yes, but that's because of Peter Angelos. I mean, as an Oriole fan, I've had to endure from.
I'm not sure it's around next year. Everybody thinks that's ridiculous. I don't think that's ridiculous, but I think without the Nats, first of all, it's awful. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I mean, they don't do anything with it outside of the games. They don't. I'm not knocking the broadcasters and Jim Palmer. They're excellent. I think for the most part, even the production is very good. But once the game goes off, there's nothing there. So I don't see how
they need to do something different, like even if they did like I don't want to like a TNT thing, TBS, something like that. But
World Series of Poker,
something.
Golf, they're doing gambling or what? That's what they're showing. Like it's just awful. So, one other thing, Monumental and the Nats. Does that happen?
I think so. I mean, my understanding with Monumental, I believe you have to now pay a subscription. So I'm actually not. I mean, I probably have to just suck it up because, especially with watching the Mystics this year, I don't know.
They are still on the cable network. I mean, but they have their own where you can get it if you don't have cable, which more and more people don't have cable.
Right. Okay. So yeah, because a lot of people were like, I don't think I'm going to cover the Mystic games. Are you going to cover it? I haven't figured all that out yet. So, because I know especially if you don't have League Pass, get it now. So, I mean, could the Nationals be on League Pass? I mean, on Monumental? I can't see it. I mean, I think they'll work out something with Masson. I think they just got to figure out what to do with it because it definitely needs some type of change.
I don't think they're staying on Masson. They spent all this money in court for years, 20 years in court, just to sign with Masson again. That would be crazy.
Well, I mean, again, that was all Peter Angelos, and like I said, all that money, and we didn't get better within that time. So, yeah, I mean, I had to endure all that mediocrity for years.
Thank you, sir. Tell the people where we can find you at the Big Nate Sports Talk on YouTube, but any other things out there, and tell other people where they can reach you.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter. It's one Nathan Snell. So my name here on the screen, it's one Nathan Snell all together. You can find on the YouTube channel, same thing, Nathan Snell. You can just type on YouTube, Big Nate Sports Talk, like, comment, subscribe. I've recently just had some videos out today with the preview of the Final Four for the women's and men's. The women, the second games, UConn and UCLA should be on. I believe South Carolina beat Texas. Tomorrow the men play, so those should be good games, and then the championship games, and then I'm working on my first NFL mock draft 1.0, and then get ready for the WNBA draft mock 4.0 mock draft, and then get ready for the WNBA draft and draft grades, and then get ready for the Washington Mystics season, WNBA season, NFL grades, draft grades, NFL season. Yeah, so got a lot going down the pipe for Big Nate Sports Talk.
Told you guys, anything DC, Baltimore sports, y'all just heard it. Mock draft, Wizards, Mystics, all that. I didn't even hear the Wizards, Mystics, and all that other fun stuff. So
I try to do some NBA stuff in there from time to time.
I heard why you're not doing the Wizards. The Wizards are terrible.
Well, I mean, in terms of from my understanding, like Derek Queen was supposed to be in the draft, but that's not true. So, because Ace Bailey, Cooper Flagg is supposed to be number 1, number 2 picks. So, yeah.
Bailey's staying for when I heard that Purdue, I think he's signing with Purdue possibly. So
just Cooper Flagg. Okay.
Thank you. Getting more at the end there. Didn't even finish the outro. Thank you so much, all of you, for watching the Ravori Sports Podcast. Definitely off the bottom, see Charles Harris. We are Legal Shield. Definitely go ahead and check that out. If you do need help with your legal needs in your business, Legal Shield is a great resource for you guys. Thank you so much for calling us today on the Ravori Sports Podcast. You have a great rest of your day.